Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and just think, all your loved ones are gathered around the tree, opening gifts, and someone buys you a Cleveland Browns jersey. What the fuck? Don't they have any idea how much that team sucks? And B, don't they know you're a money nerd? Today, we've made a podcast that you need to share with the people who loved you because we're going to lay out the best gifts for our friends in the financial independence community.
The people who loved you? Like yesterday? Loved you long time?
If they gave you a Cleveland Browns jersey, it's obviously past tense.
I think it's the people who love you. But anyway.
And to help, we welcomed the woman behind Mindy on Money and the Bigger Pockets Money podcast, Mindy Jensen.
Doug,
and
it's so lovely to see you.
I'm working here. And the guy who's got your best interest at heart, Jesse Cramer. And from this podcast, the guy isn't the guy who isn't the dude.
What are you doing?
What do you mean, what am I doing? All right. 3, 2, 1. And from this podcast, the guy who isn't the Grinch around the holidays, OG. Of course, that's not all. I'll also share some of my warm and delicious trivia halfway through. God, that's awkward. And now, a guy who is ready to roll on today's gift-giving extravaganza. It's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Hey, Doug. Why don't you get your mouth closer to that mic, man? Just blare a little more, buddy.
For a second.
Welcome to
Turn down the gain there. Announcer boy.
A live recording of the Stacking Benjamin Show that's already off the rails nearly as much as Wednesday's show was. And today, look at what I got, OG. I got the button. Today we're going to talk about, for that money nerd in your life, if we can. Buy. Isn't that great? Huh? Get him one of these. Nothing annoys a money nerd more than buy. Yeah, good times. How you doing, OG?
I can't wait for that thing to run out of battery. It's like slow pain or fast pain. It's just how many times can I get you to press it so that eventually it goes bye.
Sell.
Yeah.
Okay, I got all the buttons. It's fantastic.
Wait a minute. Is that your own voice?
It is not. It sounds like me though, doesn't it? Buy.
It does.
Yes, I could have made these. That somebody got ripped off. They could add this voice instead of the person doing the sound alike. And the guy who sounds like the guy who's the host of the Best Interest podcast is here, Jesse Cramer. How are you, man?
True story. So my brother called the office today, and one of our admins picked up the phone, and before forwarding it on to me, he's like, Jesse, I got to tell you, your brother sounds exactly like you. So we have gotten that a lot in life. So the guy who sounds like the guy who's the host of the Best Interest, that'd be my brother. Sadly, though, today it's me. Me.
It actually is you.
Can
yes.
we get him for the show?
You can, Doug. The rivalry continues, Doug.
Doug with the burning question.
It's
Jesse.
worth a shot, Joe.
We tried so hard. Well, that's the whole thing, Jesse. We were trying to get your brother on. He said no.
Yeah.
And so we get Jesse. How's things going at the Best Interest podcast? I think it's going really well.
Things are going really well. We released an episode featuring you, Joe, a couple weeks ago and got some rave reviews. We released an episode today about weird hacks, bad hacks, and new rules and interesting discoveries in personal finance. That one is getting some good feedback so far. So things are good. Things are good. Doug, by the way, you're still here. You're not on payroll anymore, but you still show up every recording. What's going on with that?
I've never been on payroll, Jesse.
Way to go, Jesse. And we got to deflect from that discussion. Thanks, man. For just pour salt in that wound. Good news, though, here to save.
He's on the IOU train. Yeah. He has a bunch of them.
And the amount he owes us so far, and he keeps showing up to owe us even more time after time. The woman who's here to save this live podcast, Mindy Jensen's back. It's about time, Mindy.
It is about time, Joe. Doug, I'm sorry I ruined your intro.
Well, we understand you're a rookie to the whole podcasting thing, Mindy.
Yeah.
So we'll give you some grace this time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mindy, when you figure out what this podcasting thing's all about, how many, very seriously, how many episodes has the Bigger Pockets Money podcast had? Because it's up there now. It's got to be what, 500, 600?
We just released episode 582.
Yeah, bam. I was close.
Yeah, you were.
That's
It's like,
fantastic.
listen, and you just recently passed episode 1500.
I know.
I would like to note that you didn't invite Carl and I on episode 1500, which is kind of a natural. I heard from your tens of listeners who said, yeah, he really dropped the ball there.
We totally did, didn't we? Mr. and Mrs. 1500. What were we thinking? Well, change the name to Mr. and Mrs. 2000 and you'll be the special guest then.
Okay. Sounds great.
It'll be perfect. So what's going on at Bigger Pockets Money, Mindy? Good stuff there too.
We are talking about money. We're talking about things that can help you on your journey to financial independence. We are diving kind of deep into the middle class trap, which is where a lot of people find themselves. They have contributed to their 401k. They have their house either purchased outright or, they've got a lot of home equity, and that's kind of the end of their wealth. So when they retire, they don't really especially if you retire early, you don't really have an opportunity to pull anything because your 401k is for your retirement years, but your traditional retirement years. So you
no flexibility.
No flexibility. You find yourself in this trap. You're rich, but you're really only rich on paper.
Wow. Well, you know what's on paper every single Friday at this point in the show, Mindy?
What?
The fact that this episode's brought to you by State Farm. I got the paper right here in front of me. In the market for small business insurance? Yes, you are. Well, State Farm knows your business is your life. State Farm agents are small business owners too, so they know what it takes. They can help you create a personalized insurance plan, Mindy, that fits your small business needs and budget. Small business insurance from State Farm. Ready? Everybody ready? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. That was so much better than last week. Talk to your local agent today. We got Mindy Jensen here. Jesse Cramer's here. OG and Doug. We're going to take a second here because we've got a couple other sponsors that make sure this podcast goes. So you don't have to pay for it and we can keep podcasting. We'll hear from them and we're off and running on helping you make the holidays a little more fun for the money nerds in your life. What I should have said there before the break, I said for the money nerds in your life, so the people around you can make your life better, right? The goal of this episode is to hand your device to your friends and say, what these guys said, get me that. Don't get me the Cleveland Browns jersey, Doug. Oh my goodness. Even Cleveland Brown fans are like, no.
Yeah, you threw up in your mouth a little bit just saying it, didn't you?
So say the Cleveland Browns jersey, isn't that just the bag on the head?
I think that's what it's becoming. I'm hearing the nod from Cleveland right now. All right. We are talking gifts for money nerds. So Mindy, let's go ladies first here. What do you think a money nerd would absolutely love? What do they need that they don't yet have?
So Joe, I know why you invited me on this show. You invited me because you want to get me a gift, but you're not quite sure what I want.
She's on to me, Jesse. She's
smart strategy.
Totally on to me. Yeah.
I am. So Joe, I am in my de-acquisition phase of life. I don't want any more stuff. I am looking for spending time with my friends, experiences, consumables, things like that. I'm trying to get my health I'm trying to get my body in better shape. So I'm going to go with consumables first. I am a really awesome baker. I have a lot of friends who don't want stuff in their lives. I can bake you the most delicious cookies ever. And that is a really awesome gift. I would also like an experience of maybe, Joe, you coming to my house and baking cookies with me. Can you imagine, first of all, how amazing that experience would be? Because I'm sure you're an awesome chef, right?
Wait a minute. Is your gift to me going to be me coming over and baking you cookies? That's your gift to me?
No, that's your gift to me.
Oh, that's
over
my
and spending
gift to
time
you.
with me. Here.
Oh.
Or my gift to you is, I know you like to bake cookies, but cleaning up is such a hassle. So you come over to my house. I have all the ingredients. We bake a lot of cookies. Then I send you home with the cookies and I do all the cleanup. It's these experiences. Or Joe, I know that neighbor Doug is a very, very good baker. And he and I are going to take a class together. Why are you shaking your head, Doug?
I freaking hate baking. I absolutely hate baking.
I
Wow,
think
play
neighbor Doug.
along.
I think neighbor Doug would get baked before he baked.
That's fine. I live in Colorado. Tell me what you like, Doug.
Well, I like this idea of experiences, and Jesse, your daughter is too young to be doing this yet. But do you remember the days when you were a kid and you gave mom or dad one of those gift certificates? This is good for a car wash or good for a a money nerd like you, Jesse.
Yeah, I still give those out occasionally if I'm if I'm a little bit tardy in my own gift purchasing and someone important, if it's their birthday or something, I will give a custom gift card to a something that I haven't actually purchased yet. And like I'm 90% good on the follow through there, which I feel like that's kind of important. Yeah. I did see Mindy just held up a certain book. I'm not going to steal Mindy's thunder, but I will say that book's title is over here on my Google Doc. So it's either Great Minds Think Alike or Fools Seldom Differ. I think it's the first one.
For show and tell, JP?
It's okay. Janie of the better.
I took your first name and last name and smunched them together. Sometimes my eyes do that.
It's okay. Joe gets my podcast name wrong all the time. Doug doesn't even want me here. And OG has yet to speak to me.
That's fine. Make you special. OG doesn't
it's
talk
fine.
to anyone.
So I do have a copy.
The joke is on him, Mindy, because he keeps coming back.
Here I am. I get a text message in the middle of my workday. Please, we need someone to podcast with us today. Here I am. I do have a copy of that book. It's at home though, so I don't have a copy here with me at the office. But I've got something on my list that I think when I think of a money nerd, and I think.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on, Jesse. Before you do yours, that wasn't an invitation to do yours. I want to bandy about, as Mom says, Mindy's suggestion for just a second. Let's flesh this out.
My fault. You did a good job transitioning, and I just forgot. Experiences. You asked me something about when I was a little kid. Well, especially now. No, I agree with Mindy. Like I'm in a stage of life where last night my wife asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And my first answer was, I don't know / nothing. Just because nothing material really comes to mind. I'm sure there are a few things materially speaking that I could probably benefit from in my life. But for the most part, it's like, I want to hang out with people. I want to eat some good food. I just want to relax. Relaxation is something I value at this point in life. So yeah, I like Mindy's suggestion. I like the fact that we're starting out this conversation in that way, on that tone.
Oh, gee, do you do that? Just go to your family and say, I am the gift, like experience. You get to spend time with me. So like my coaster says, I'm going to go lay under the tree to remind my family that I'm a gift. Is that what you do, OG?
No, that's a terrible idea. Who would want that?
They wouldn't want you under the tree. They get to
in any way, shape, or form.
Get to have your time. You do like the idea of experiences, though, as gifts.
I mean, I think my definition of experiences are a little different than these two guys, like car washes and cookies.
I wasn't done. I didn't say car wash. Oh, Jesse said car wash.
Jesse said car wash coupons and stuff that he's 90% good on. That sounds like something my kids would give me. I promise to rake the leaves someday in the future. Maybe it's like,
let's buy a dog and I'll feed it once.
It's like, oh, Dad, how about when you're old and infirm? Why don't we just hold on to that one until you're like 85? You're totally going to need somebody to do the guy. I think of experiences. I think about like, spending time and energy, certainly with people that you care about or that you want to be around, but doing something that's above and beyond. And certainly you can have an experience that's not that, but that's just what it means to me. Like when I think of experiences, I don't think of, no offense, making cookies. That's good. I like cookies too.
We talked about on Wednesday, your sister makes stuff.
Correct. She did. And it was delicious. But I would not call that an experience.
yours is spending time with you in Iceland or in Italy or the Caymans.
I mean,
Yeah. Mindy, you'd be up for that, wouldn't you?
When I hear the word experience, I think that. But
yeah.
But
go skiing or Disney or something.
Yeah. OG, come skiing. Come to Colorado, and I'll take you skiing.
There it is. Okay. There's an experience.
Sounds great. And we can eat some of your fancy brownies from Colorado.
Yes, I will make you special brownies.
Jesse, let's transition to you as you tried to earlier, and I didn't let you. What's on your list?
Well, other than Mindy's book, which I agree with her on, which is, we'll just bury the lead for now and we'll talk about it later. Something I wrote down, which if someone's truly a money nerd out there, I think they would enjoy something like an online course from, say, a masterclass with like an economist or something like that. Or maybe a subscription to The Economist or Barron's or one of other, a very good kind of economics leaning magazine. Those things are I enjoy reading them. I'm a money nerd. I enjoy reading them. And the idea is if someone out there is truly a money nerd, and now this isn't someone who's just kind of, I'm interested in the FIRE movement and I own some index funds. Yeah, I think you have to be a little bit more of a nerd to really enjoy a subscription to one of these things. But if someone fits that bill, I think that's a great gift for them that, it's not a material good that's building up in your home. Instead, it's something that you can learn from. And hey, maybe your experience is sitting on your iPad and reading Barron's.
Well, and if the money nerd, Jesse, maybe already gets Barron's and you're just going to pay their next year's subscription, that's a kick-ass gift because you're costing them less money too.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And, half the time, I think we've all been in this situation, and maybe the listeners have too, where you get a gift and you look at it and you just go, I don't need this. Like, you don't want to be offensive, but you just say, like, gift giver, you kind of wasted your money, and it would have been better off asking me something that I actually like, and then you just buy me that. So to your point, Joe,
you just say, did you save the receipt for this?
Yeah.
In case I need a different size.
Yeah, just in case.
Like, sure, it's a coffee mug. You're like, yeah, different size of coffee mug.
I like the idea of a subscription. What are some of the things that you guys subscribe to that you'd like? Mindy, I also like the fact that this is also kind of so it's not adding to the clutter, to your point earlier, right? It's not a gift that's adding any clutter. I mean, unless you're giving somebody a physical subscription to a magazine that they didn't have before. But what would be a good subscription to give Mindy, let's say?
Something like HelloFresh, one of those meal preparation kits where they send you all the ingredients and all you have to do is open it up and cook it. If you're sending it to me, I don't want anything with mushrooms. Thank you very much. Everything else is fair game. But I have a busy life and I have 2 kids and I would like to feed my family. And those meals are about 45 minutes from start to finish. You have everything you need except for things like oil. I already have oil in my cabinet. A little bit of flour sometimes, but for the most part, it's everything you need in that little container with step-by-step instructions. And I've never made something that was gross.
It's just pressing the easy button.
It is pressing the easy button. Joe, you have your button.
That was easy.
I have the easy button.
Perfect. We're going to have competing buttons. We're going to annoy the crap out of OG now. This will be awesome. Let's just do some button pressing. OG, what's a good subscription to give OG?
Well, as this was one of the things on my list and I misunderstood the assignment. I did not know that this was gifts that I wanted for myself to tell people to buy me via the podcast.
Well, just a money nerd
about that.
And I think you're a money nerd.
And so I do not wish to have any of these subscriptions, but other people might wish to have them. Things like I was thinking about like YNAB or Morningstar or Monarch, which is a sponsor of our show. Things that you can get gift certificates for people that may be on that track. Things that they're like working on the different places of their financial plan, whether it's like budgeting, obviously YNAB, like aggregating stuff. Monarch's really good. And if they're on the investing side, Morningstar is great.
Well, you could also combine these two, I think, in gift experiences. I know, Doug, haven't you had like the beer of the month club before?
I think I got coffee of the month. I know I had that. I don't remember if I had beer or not. And now I think this was baiting. Did you get it for me once, like a long time ago, and I forgot?
I think we did the coffee thing from Stacking Benjamins, didn't we?
We did. The coffee thing was from Stacking Benjamins.
We did do that. And I do think, actually, I gave you beer of the month a long time ago. I wasn't baiting you, but the fact that you don't remember.
The beer of the month club and how much you loved it, Doug.
Yes. Wasn't that a great gift that an awesome friend gave you?
The best gift I ever had.
Yeah, but Mindy, you could combine those two things, right? Give somebody a gift of something they like, give OG Woodford of the month or something, and you're killing two birds there.
Yeah, I've had Beer of the Month Club subscriptions sent to me, and I loved it. I got to try new beers. It wasn't they don't just send you like Budweiser; they send you really nice, kind of exotic beers, and it was great.
Have you had any of those of the month clubs, Jesse, that you really like?
I subscribe to Dollar Shave Club, but that's something different.
I feel like, why do I feel like after Masterclass, Dollar Shave Club, HelloFresh, we missed a crap load of sponsor opportunities here. Like we missed about 100 of them. Oh, you know what I like? A Casper mattress. Let's hear from them now. Yeah.
They just had a baby in his house, so we know he didn't do condom of the month club.
Wow. Holy.
Erase.
Hey.
And it's gone.
Too much?
Sneaking that joke in there was a bit of a Trojan horse, Doug.
Oh, that's how the pros do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Bah!
Ninja. OG, quick, get us out of this. What's first on your list?
Again, I feel like I didn't do the assignment correctly, and also I had subscriptions on my list, so I'm gonna have to think of something else. Just because I want to curry favor with the host of the show, I'm gonna say, how about a board game that is around money? Board games such as Acquire or Stockpile.
Oh my God! Stop it!
Both of those are.
It just qualifies as
talk.
Pandering.
Stop it! Keep going.
100% pandering.
How come you can't stand up, Joe?
Buy.
Yes.
But ways, and the lessons in these games, as you know, Joe, are not about. I mean, obviously there's games, but the idea is how to think about different areas of money, whether it's the theme of Acquire or the theme of Stockpile. Those are different ways to think about money.
Just killing me. Absolutely killing
because
me.
I'm confident that both of them have money lessons based on their names.
But they are great gifts
based on what ChatGPT said.
And by the way, the reason that we had you bring 3 of them, OG, is because we're going to do 2, and in case we got a match, which it sounds like Jesse and Mindy are going to be fighting over a match in the second half of the show. But board games, Mindy, we did a board game episode on Friday. I don't know why I'm telling you we had a board game episode on Friday, but you and Carl play board games with your kids, don't you?
We do.
Yes. And teaching kids about money at all in your board game sessions?
Not so much. We're just spending time together as a family. We play a lot of, I don't know if it's a board game. It's called Rummy Cube.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't actually have a board, but it's still spending time with the family. We play Ticket to Ride, both the kid version and the adult version, now that we are grown-up version, excuse me, not adult, grown-up. Because when the girls were little, the grown-up version is kind of big, but now that they are older, they can play that one.
That was we on our Friday episode last week. If stackers want to dig into that, we had 3 people from our Stacking Benjamins community, and that was number 1 on Katie's list, actually, of her favorite games to play during the holidays with friends. Jesse, you guys play board games?
Yeah, I'm a fairly solid gamer, and I have some friends who are very big gamers. And even if it's not a money related game, I mean, a lot of board games have this there's either an underlying kind of numerical base or just some underlying strategy. Or one of my favorite aspects of board games is the idea that sometimes you can make the right decisions, but if there's a dice roll or some sort of random part of the game, like you made the right decisions, but the odds, the luck didn't fall in your favor, and you ended up with a bad result. And that's kind of a big part of this whole money, personal finance, financial planning world, where sometimes all you can do is try to make the best decisions you can. And maybe the market doesn't move the way you want it to, or just bad luck befalls you. And so it's interesting that way too, that I think there are a lot of cool lessons from games that we can apply to personal finance and financial planning.
I love that. Focus on the inputs, not on the end result. I mean, it really is the same thing with FIRE, right? With the financial independence, retire early. Don't focus on these rainbows at the end, because you're still going to show up and it's going to be the same you. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be any different, except now you'll have money. I mean, enjoy the ride on the way there. We are halfway there. Speaking of this road trip, and at the halfway point, we stop our discussion just briefly for our year-long trivia competition. And this one is getting close to over. So Jesse, you normally play for Mom when you're here, so we'll have you play for Mom again. Mindy, that means you are playing for the Paula Pant, which means we've got good news and bad news for you. Jensen, which one would you like?
I would like the bad news first.
Well, the bad news is as is usually the case, Paula is in last place, which also is the good news, because that means you get to guess last, which is a great place to be. So Paula has 10, Mom has 11. OG has wrapped it up, by the way, I think with 17, doing the math. We don't have enough weeks left. So Jesse, your job is to hold off Mindy, AKA Paula, for a couple more weeks to claim second place in this competition. By the way, big thanks to Stacker Eric. Eric has sent us a Milk Bar subscription again this year, OG. So I got it from him yesterday as we record this, and I'm going to forward this to you, and maybe you can even use it with the family before the holidays. That's an experience, Milk Bar. Mindy, have you had Milk Bar?
I have. It's delicious.
Yes. Yeah. Jesse, you too?
Is that the cookie shop in New York City? Is that Milk Bar? Yes. I think I've had it once or twice.
Yeah. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. Excellent stuff. And speaking of excellent stuff, Doug's got some excellent trivia today, I'm sure. Doug, what's on tap for our competition?
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And how about the holidays, huh? It's time for sitting next to the fire and reading the classics, like maybe The Richest Man in Babylon, or maybe something by Benjamin Graham. Wait, did you think I was going to say like Hemingway or Steinbeck? I mean, come on. Those dudes don't hold a candle to wordsmiths like Vicki Robin or Dr. Thomas Stanley. Let's make your holidays a little warmer, though, with this trivia morsel. Speaking of classics, I'm sure this one has made a ton of Benjamins for its creator, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. No, not the song, the stop-motion TV show with Burl Ives and, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this one, you'll want some earmuffs, a Yeti with a toothache. I mean, it's a classic. It debuted on today's date way back in, well, that's today's question. For all of our contestants, we want to know, what year did the stop-motion animation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer debut? I'll be back right after I make my Christmas list and check it twice.
All right, guys. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's, I'm sure, OG, you've seen this one of my faves.
Yes, between that and Frosty the Snowman.
What's the name of the elf that wants to be the dentist? Is his name Dennis the Dentist?
Kirby.
Was it Kirby? Kirby. Man, nice job.
They had names. I don't really remember.
It was great.
But, Kirby wants to be a dentist.
That's pretty good. OG, what year?
Thinking of a different one then, because I don't remember any dentistry or Yetis. But anyway, all that to say, I believe the answer is 1958.
1958. Jesse, what are you going to do with that?
I'm going to go earlier, but not by a ton. I'm going to say 1951.
1951, the early days of television. So we've got 51 and 58, Mindy.
1941 is sticking in my head for some reason.
I think that's because of the December 6th, December 7th confusion earlier in the episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, let's see.
Wasn't that before we hit record? Today's the day before the day that shall live in infamy. Yes.
I'm going to go with 1943 because that's the year my mother was born, and it's not the year that will live in infamy. The day
1943.
Yes.
Early days. All right, we got 43, 51, and OG, what was yours?
Just write down I won.
Oh, wait. I want to change my answer to that.
Wow.
58.
Wow. And confidence. 1943, 1951, and confidence is OG's.
58 is what I said.
1958. We'll be back to see if OG is cocky
Might have hit
or
it on the
right,
head.
or
I
maybe
feel like I
both.
did.
We will see in just a moment. We'll be right back. Hey, let's say hi to everybody hanging out with us on YouTube. See we've got quite a few people here on YouTube today. Hi to Kay Sands, Batavia, Illinois. Glad you're here. Kay Sands is waiting for nuggets of wisdom, said awaiting nuggets of wisdom. That's a stretch, but you're here. Drew, elbow, wrist, OG. Elbow, wrist. The sell button definitely sounded like me. Yes. Eric, Jesse could log into his brother's financial accounts with his voice. Oh, Jesse, you ever think about that?
I mean, I can log into his accounts anyway because But I've thought about that. I have thought about that. Good idea, Eric. Thank you for that.
Jennifer's a fan. She's here today. She says, way to go, Bigger Pockets money. So Jennifer, Mindy's a fan of yours too.
Always.
Kay Sand says cash, just gives money nerds cash. That's all you do. And our friend Bill from Catching Up to Fi is here. Bill says, as long as there's oatmeal raisin cookies, Mindy, he's making cookies with you.
No.
Also says we gave too much crap to Twitter. To really did not care as they grew up. One overnight at the museum was awesome. Overnight at the museum, there's an experience.
That sounds fun.
He asks, by the way, what about giving a ticket to Economy or to Boggleheads?
Well, you cut me off before I could go with more of my list, Joe.
That's because it's a round table, Mindy. My mom put new tidy whities in my stocking. My grandma would do that, Bill. Tidy whities every year. Like we'd be playing with our presents, and then we'd have to go to grandma's house, and you get underwear every year. My kids would get super excited about funding their Roth IRAs. Not. Thanks. I got the best gift ever. We're going to fund your Roth IRA, and we're going to get iRoll. All right, here we go. Back to the second half. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. OG, you started off with 1958, and you're feeling a little good about that.
1950 winner. Yep.
And Jesse, 1951.
Yeah.
Are you feeling confident about OG's confidence?
I'm feeling bad about OG's confidence.
Oh.
Mindy, though, what if it was really early? What if it was the year your mom was born?
What if it was?
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be really, really awesome. But I just Googled it, and I know the answer. I did not Google it.
You're not
before.
supposed to do that.
I didn't Google it before, but I had plenty of time to going
Clearly
last.
you didn't.
Yes, and so you know you were right. You're very certain, Mindy, that you're right. Mindy's trying to ruin it for the audience.
I'm not saying a word.
Doug, here's what we think about Mindy's answer.
Sell.
Yes. Doug, who's the winner here, Doug?
Hey there, stackers. I'm expert gift receiver and the guy with all the answers, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Today's trivia is about a classic TV show called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, one that Joe's mom watches every single year. Seriously, Ma, how about Charlie Brown or something? Anything. Give me anything, Ma. The question was this: what year on today's date in history did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer first air? The answer is 21 years after Mindy's guess, just 13 years after Jesse's guess, and 6 years after OG's guess, because the correct answer is 1964, making OG our winner.
I'm tired of playing applause for OG, so he gets one of those
Haters
instead.
Haters gonna hate. I was way off. I thought it was 58 though. I don't know why. Like as soon as you said that question,
I wonder what year the
50th.
song was introduced. When did was it Gene Autry that first recorded that song?
Yeah, it was well before that, actually. There's a great story behind where the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer lore came from. And it was an ad guy for Montgomery Ward who whose wife was dying of cancer, and his daughter, who was about 6 or 7 years old, was really distraught. This is just before Christmas, and he started telling her bedtime stories and wanted to make up kind of an uplifting story for his daughter. That he ended up telling somebody at work about it. Which was Montgomery Ward. They made a book about it. They gave millions of copies away at their store every year. And finally, a publishing house said, we want to make this a big time book. And in a great act of kindness and of what do I want to say, generosity, Montgomery Ward gave all the rights back to that copywriter.
Oh, wow.
So he became an instant millionaire.
Wow.
And it was after that they tried to get big name singers, Frank Sinatra and others, to do this song. Nobody would do it. And it was Gene Autry's wife who convinced him to do it.
Wow.
She loved the line, they never let him play in any reindeer games. Like that just grabbed Gene Autry's wife's heart for some reason. She convinced him to do it even after he said no the first time. And it became the number 2 selling Christmas song of all time.
Yeah, as they referred to him then, the Mariah Carey of his generation.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's that's a great story. And yesterday, as we were decorating our Christmas tree, we heard Randolph, the brown-nosed reindeer, which is a parody song you can find on Spotify. He's brown-nosed reindeer because Rudolph always stopped too quick. That's in the song.
Look
Just
at Jesse's face. That's awesome.
I mean, first we have neighbor Doug's like anecdote. I mean, how do you know that anecdote, Doug? I mean, that's just stuff that you keep in your brain. That's amazing. That is amazing. And then Joe follows it up with that absolute gem.
I just got to ruin the story, Jesse. I just got to ruin it.
Rudolph stops too quick. That's my favorite part about that whole thing.
It is just horrible. Maybe, Doug, that'll be on your next Christmas album,
okay.
Your Christmas mix. Let's do another round of gifts for Money Nerds. I love the first ones, giving the gift of time and experiences from Mindy, giving subscriptions from Jesse, and then OG giving... I forgot. Oh, yeah. Board games. How could I forget board games? I can't forget board games. Well, let's go in reverse order, OG. What did ChatGPT tell you to put on this list next?
There was a long list. They had like gold, getting gold and silver.
Oh. Yeah, it had to be Bitcoin now, wouldn't it? Versus gold and silver, I would think.
I would think. One was kind of interesting. It said a cold storage wallet.
Oh,
that is, but it sounds cool. Like cold storage wallet.
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's so your crypto is offline, so somebody can't sneak in and take it. Like
keeps it nice and cold.
Sam Bankman-Fried or somebody else.
Yeah. But I think as I actually was just asked this by a client not too long ago, and I think this is probably kind of a go-to. Maybe a cop out, but I've got a couple of names here that I think will help. And I'm just going to go regular books. At the end of the day,
you got to give us one, because I think Mindy's got a book too, and maybe
I got a whole bunch.
And Jesse might have
the
one.
Ones I got here.
You're just going to give us one. Thank you very much.
I'm the same as fast as I can. So my first one would be Morgan Housel's book, Psychology of Money. I think that's a great read about how to think about money, but non-money related. I would also add and submit to the audience Essentialism by Greg McKeown, which I think is fantastic. And if you're in the mood for something really heavy, Man's Search for Meaning.
Wow.
Viktor Frankl.
Those are kind of my go-to. Those two books on the back end I read every year, and it's just between those two books and Road Less Traveled are my most highlighted books highlighted, underlined, sticky tabbed, whatever you want to call it. So non-money related, but I think
Still
mindset
life related.
Yeah, mindset. It's really more
Yeah.
mindset on all of those. So I don't want to say a cop out on the books, but kind of a cop out on the books. I know, but
I don't think so, man. I think those are great classic recommendations that everybody can get behind. And what's the money about in the first place, right?
yeah.
Let's try to just get some of these book recommendations out of the way. Mindy, you've been holding up a book over and over. What's the book?
This is Poor Charlie's Almanac, written by, it's the wit and wisdom of Charles T. Munger. I don't know if you know him. He is Warren Buffett's partner. Was Warren Buffett's partner. Sadly, he passed away. Was it this year or last year?
Almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
exactly a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just Charlie. I almost called him Charlie Buffett. Charlie Munger's thoughts, collection of his writings and speeches over his kind of professional lifetime. Advice for learning, advice for, living a great life, being a successful investor, that kind of thing. It is not an easy read. It is not a cheap book, but it will warm the hearts of all of the true money nerds in your life.
You went to Omaha once, didn't you?
I've been multiple times.
You've been multiple times.
Went to the last one that Charlie was at.
Wow. Did you ever ask a question?
I did.
You did? What did you ask?
I asked about real estate investing, and I got up on to the microphone and my heart was pounding. I was so nervous. And I asked them what they thought of real estate investing, because Warren had been quoted like a while ago. If I had a way to manage all of this, I would buy 100,000 properties. And he's like, yeah, but I don't have a way to manage it.
And so what is that what he then told you again live?
Yeah, he likes real estate, but it's
unwieldy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. God, that would have been cool. Speaking of an experience, OG, you talk about going places for a money nerd, buying a trip to Omaha to go to the meeting. Like, how great.
Own the stock. So
you have to buy him a share of the stock, I guess.
You only have to own one share, and it doesn't have to be a stock.
Yeah. It could be a B, right?
It can be a B. If you guys want to think that I own a stock, you go right ahead and tell yourselves that. They definitely own
several shares. I'm certain.
Yeah, no, definitely not the high dollar shares.
Jesse, how about book recommendation from you, man?
So I was looking over my list of my favorites, and rather than listing a bunch, I'm just going to give one, and I'm going to give one that I don't hear people talk about much. I think it's a fantastic book, especially if you are skewing a little bit on the money nerdier side, emphasis on the nerdier. The book is called More Than You Know. It's by Michael Mauboussin, who I believe is an analyst at JP Morgan, but it's just such a fantastic book. The subtitle is Finding Financial Wisdom in Unconventional Places. And I feel like this is a book that you don't usually see on the top 5, top 10, top 20 investing books out there. But Michael Mauboussin is very, very highly regarded, and it's just such a great read, and I highly recommend it.
I'd love to see, before the end of the show, people hanging out with us live on YouTube. What books do you have that you like? And I'm going to circle back to you, YouTube, in just a second. OG?
I have an honorable mention. I know that I've taken too much time, but I'd also like to submit Stacked. Your super serious guide to modern money management.
Dude, it's just...
One,
do I owe you money
cool.
or something? Is there a reason you're sucking up to me today? Like, I feel like I owe you something. Cool. At the very least, now I owe you.
You might find
$10.
that I'm listed in this book somewhere around page 300 or something.
Is that written by Emily Guy Birkin?
Yes, it's the Emily Guy Birkin book. The foreword is written by Joe, as I understand it. But
nice.
I was looking for my copy. I could not find it. I was going to.
I wish I would have been a little bit more quick-witted to have this at the ready, because that would have been funnier than the way I did it. But
that was perfectly fine. Thank you very much. That was very much appreciated for Emily, I'm sure. Let's go to Jesse. Jesse, what's next on your list of giveaways?
The next one on my list for especially the investing nerd in your life, I guess it's a two-part answer. Because if someone's a real investing nerd, you could do something fun for them. Like if you happen to know they have a certain affinity for a particular company, it might not be Berkshire B For what it's worth, just looked up $470 for one share of Berkshire
You gotta
Bee
like
today.
them a little bit.
They got to be a really good friend. But Walmart's trading at $87 today. That might be a nice gift. And again, it's the kind of thing where we're not suggesting anybody invest in individual stocks if they're uncomfortable, but it's a fun gift. Here's a share of a company, a real share. It's not a mutual fund. It's not an ETF. Here's a real share. So that's one idea. Another idea could just be, sure, give them $100 of VTI. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. But one, this is now for UTI, Doug. Yeah, that's exactly right. You can buy
or VTI.
This.
Every chance we get.
It's for someone who you really don't like, Doug. You buy them some UTI and you send it to them in the mail.
Say Doug's mom joke there, by the way.
On that topic, speaking of family-friendly jokes, if there are children in your life, you can see if they have a 529.
I got two that hang out with me here every week. Yeah.
Long story short, many states have an easy link system where if parents have a 529 set up for their kids, they can send you a link and then you can contribute to the children's 529 on their behalf. So if the kids in your life already have too many toys and you don't want to buy them yet another toy for Christmas, you could do something like contribute to their future education.
That's fabulous. But I love leading with Walmart because, in a place where, like Mindy said, many of us are minimalist. We're trying to get rid of stuff. We'll just encourage other people to buy a bunch of stuff from Walmart so the stock goes up. That's wonderful.
Hey, all shapes and sizes here on the pod,
Absolutely. That's great. Mindy, you got the last word. What's the gift that keeps on giving?
Well, I love the Coffee of the Month Club that you had sent to neighbor Doug, who totally appreciated it. And what do you?
Oh, I gave him Beer of the Month.
Beer of the Month.
Yeah, just to be clear, which one I gave. Oh, well, we did for Stacking Benjamins gave our whole group that. You're right.
That is very generous. What are you going to drink that out of? You need a coffee cup. And I found a coffee cup on Etsy that says "Freak in the Sheets," and it has the header on the Excel spreadsheet wrapped around the coffee mug. And can I share my screen? I've got it up.
I think so. Can you share your screen?
Well, let's see. Share my screen.
This is great for the audio listeners. They're going to love this.
Here we go. Do you see this?
Oh, there it is.
That thing's a coffee cup? That's what I drink my whiskey out of.
Oh, well, I mean, you could put whiskey in there too. I'm not going to judge you.
Oh.
You'll become even freakier, Doug.
Doug, does yours say "in the sheets" though, or just
says "freak"?
One word only. Yeah.
And there is no spreadsheet. It's just
it's just a white cup with the black word "freak."
Freaking, and for all our spreadsheet fans, man, that's the gift that keeps giving. Well, you had the page up there, Mindy. How much did it cost?
$16.
$16. There it is. All right. Not as good as my mug today. Woke up sexy as hell again. So that's my favorite. But all right. By the way, before we say goodbye, let's see what our friends hanging out with us on YouTube had to say. And we got some good. Okay, we're going to cut that because nobody gave me anything there. Let me just make sure. Live chat.
I do see one good question, Joe. The question from Cuttlefish Octopus is, when do you buy a book versus checking it out of the library?
Oh, good question.
Well, you buy a book like Poor Charlie's Almanac when you want to know that you can go to your bookshelves and grab it at any time. But that's a really great point.
And you can highlight it. I
can highlight it.
Mark the pages.
Dog ear the pages. Make sure I come back to the same wit and wisdom all the time. But there are some books that you just read over and over and over again. I hope OG owns those books that he keeps reading every year. Essentialism.
Yeah. Lots of books, as you can tell.
If you just mark them all up, the ones from the library, I mean, they'll just keep them like that for you. So when you take them out the next year, all your marks are still there.
So bad. We did not know this, man, librarians. Every librarian just pulled all their hair out. I think on that note, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. Let's see what's going on where all of you work. Jesse, what's going on at the Best Interest Podcast, my friend?
Good things. I think November, by the time this episode is out, November will have been wrapped up, and it's on track to be our best month ever in terms of listeners and new listeners. Thank you to you, Joe, and just some exciting conversations in the pipeline. So we're having lots of fun. We're sharing lots of good knowledge. We're investing in knowledge together, as the tagline would say. And so come check us out.
If this comes out on December 6th and November isn't wrapped up, something seriously went wrong, Jesse.
Something's jacked up.
Like seriously went wrong.
I was just listening to a video yesterday from Brian Cox, this British astrophysicist, about inside of a black hole, time just stops.
Space time, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a chance that's going on, but we're going to cross our fingers and hope we avoid that.
It could happen. Spoken like an engineer right there. Could happen. Mindy Jensen, thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me, Joe. It's always lovely to see you.
It's fantastic seeing you. And now I know what to give you. Now I know the perfect gifts to give Mindy. What's on the table at Bigger Pockets Money?
We are talking about money fears, things about money that keep people up at night. And Scott and I are trying to kind of calm those fears by giving some different points of view and different ways to think about those items. We are also talking a lot about people who are already financially independent and how they are living their lives now that they are no longer obligated to go to work.
Did you tell Scott that talking to Scott Trench keeps you up at night? Like that's the problem right there. You could tell him I said that.
I will absolutely. He will love it.
And for people that don't know how much I love Scott Trench, I'm kidding, obviously. It'd be fun to go to work on a podcast with Scott and Mindy every day at Bigger Pockets Money, where finer podcasts like the Best Interest Podcast are distributed. Thanks to everybody on YouTube for hanging out with us. Thanks to everybody on Twitter and X for hanging out with us. While we make this, if you want to hang out with us when we make it, it is generally on Wednesday afternoon. So pull up your YouTube page and you'll see when we're going live that particular week. But this is the part of the show where we say goodbye, and we do it by asking Doug, what should we have learned on today's show?
Well, Joe, here's what's stacked up on our to-do list today. First, take some advice from Mindy Jensen. She gets baked all the time, so consider giving someone an experience, like a certain consumable that you can consume together. It's more fun for everyone. Second, don't forget that incredible thing Jesse said about giving your friends UTIs and 529s. Jesse, hit us with that knowledge bomb one more time, would you?
Doug, that was very freaky of you. And once again, that was a bit of a Trojan horse, and I don't like it.
Oh. But the big lesson? Word of caution, just because someone has a red nose doesn't mean they're qualified to lead you home. OG had a few too many old fashions at the bar last night, and his beak was red as a taillight. But let me just say, he didn't walk the straightest line home. Thanks to Mindy Jensen for joining us today. Be sure to check out the Bigger Pockets Money podcast to get more of her brilliance. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Jesse Cramer for hanging out with us today. You'll find his fabulous podcast. God damn it, Joe. Best.
We have no idea, Jesse, what it's called.
Well, I was about to say Better Interest.
Call me Jamie.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Thanks to Jamie Cramer for hanging out with us today. You'll find her fabulous podcast, Best Interest, wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And thanks also to OG for joining us today. Looking for good financial planning help? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar.
All right. We did it, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, everyone. It was a great time. And Jesse's got to run, so we're going to say goodbye so we can make sure we get the files. See you next time.